At the 2025 IAME Warrior Finals, 3 drivers crossed the line celebrating a victory. This was in junior, senior and the masters classes. Thing is, none of them actually ended up standing on the top step of the podium. In not too dissimilar circumstances, at this year's Scooper Supernats, the KO 100 winner, Ramos, had a bumper penalty, which was then later overturned, which kind of defeats the point of drop-down bumpers, but never mind. Joe Turney then crossed the line in first on the road in X30 and then was penalised pretty sharpish, giving Gus Lawrence the overall win. In fact, Kart Chaser, who once again did a brilliant job on all their coverage, counted 750 penalties during that event. That averages at over 1 penalty per driver entered for the whole event. Now, back to the Warrior Finals. When I saw Jack Dex, now this is someone we've known for a long time on the channel, in X30 Masters, smashing the wheel in frustration as he crossed the line in second while the lead driver celebrated, it appeared obvious to me that he'd been robbed of his moment, a chance to revel in the glory with the checkered flag being waved and him as champion. Why? The driver in front was under investigation for an in-race incident, which was most likely going to be penalised. That was certainly quite obvious as a viewer. So in the end, Jack was the rightful champion, but alas, he didn't get his moment. While a driver failing to make weight or facing disqualification has always been a risk in karting and motorsport in general, these were very rare occurrences. They didn't happen that often. And when they did, they would be the talk of the paddock. They didn't dominate the proceedings. From a spectator's point of view, the crescendo of a race should feel like a result, not a case of, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. And winning drivers are crucially robbed of their special moment. Interestingly, none of the winner on track penalties at the IAME Warrior Finals were for pushbacks. With the addition of pushback nose cones, we've seen an enormous rise in post-race penalties, which has led to this kind of acclimatization to this phenomena of post-race penalties becoming the norm. See, modern karting turns over so many parents now, things can get accepted as normal very, very quickly. And if you've been around as long as I have, unfortunately, they never kind of quite feel normal. Now, the X30 Junior penalty at the Warrior Final came from a last lap incident. The other 2 in X30 Senior and Masters did not. In Seniors, the penalty decision had actually been made in race, but the information didn't seem readily available to drivers in second or third until after the checkered flag. Now, the driver that finished second on the road in X30, he did eventually celebrate on the in-lap, so whether he had information wanted it confirmed, I'm not sure. But in Masters, it appeared the penalty hadn't yet been given. Either way, in all cases, the driver that was actually declared the winner eventually wasn't able to celebrate crossing the line. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened at a big global final. Notice I am using the correct terminology here. I still give respect to the proper FIA World Championship nomenclature. For some reason, I don't know why I do this, but yes, it's the Rotax Grand Finals, it's the IAME Warrior Finals. The term World Championship should really just be for the World Championships. Anyway, I digress. So the other high-profile case was in 2021 at the Rotax Grand Finals, when Teresa Babichova crossed the line first, arms aloft, only to be actually classified 4th after the penalties were applied. It was Mark Kimber, who finished 3rd on the road, who ended up taking the championship when all the other penalties had been sorted. See, no single thing is to blame here. Kart races are incredibly short nowadays and full of incidents, giving officials a terribly hard job. It's just a result of the change in the dynamics of karts. Karts, though I am increasingly resistant to call them that now, are surrounded by plastic, and we have pushbacks, and at major events we have race controls with a plethora of cameras to assess anything that happens. Races have a formal process of verification that is getting increasingly longer and more complex, but it still seems absurd that at IAME's biggest event of the year, only 2 class winners actually got to celebrate properly. Obviously, in the past, karting wasn't like this. And if you'd like to learn more, I have a new book out, Karting Sagas, Forgotten Stories from the Sport's Golden Age. Please check it out, it's on Amazon right now. Anyway, back to the story at hand. The only major fixes I can think of include giving drivers easier access to know their positions when penalties are awarded in race, and those decisions to be made faster, which really isn't an easy feat. Kart races are so frantic, it may just be an impossible task, especially given the technology that you kind of need to relay information to drivers. But drivers who are battling for second do need to know if they are actually racing for first. This can't be done with pushbacks unless some expensive installation of electronic devices, another thing to add to karts which are supposed to be simple. They really don't need more additions. I don't like that solution, but this is where we are. We might just have to accept it's now embedded in modern culture, modern karting culture, that post-race penalties are an ever-existing threat, and we will just see more and more celebratory moments taken from rightful winners, which I think is a terrific shame for the sport that is supposed to be the best racing in the world. It does make watching kart races from a spectator point of view a very frustrating process. It sets a hard ceiling on trying to promote karting beyond its current tiny niche, because I suspect general audiences wouldn't accept the regularity of results being overturned. Then again, what am I saying? No one is trying to reach a general audience with karting currently. But anyway, I've just wanted to talk about this because it seems like every race now has this cloud over it. Like, is there going to be a penalty? What penalties can we expect? Because there almost certainly will be penalties awarded. But if you have any ideas, any solutions other than just taking all this rubbish plastic off karts and going back to proper karts, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And go check out my book. There's still time to get it. Before Christmas, it's a perfect stocking filler. Bye.